and welcome to Straight Until Disney, a Disney deep dive and analysis podcast, where each week I, your host Jonathan, takes a deep dive into the history of each Disney film and the legacy that they left behind. I'd like to remind you that you can follow me on Instagram at Straight Until Disney Pod, and you can email me your thoughts at straightuntildisneypod@gmail.com. Hello and welcome to this week's Straight Until Disney, where we're going to be chatting all things D23 across the week. And to begin that, we're going to be chatting about the Vision Quest trailer. So finally, we have our first official look at Vision Quest, and boy oh boy, it looks incredible. It looks very trippy, and it looks so really unique, and Paul Bettany looks like he's having a blast. And it's really, really interesting that we've brought back a lot of these AIs that I don't think anyone was expecting to come back as humanoid forms. And I still do wonder how much of the LMDs from the comics are going to play a role into this. The life model decoys that were on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that ties into it. That is one of my main theories for this. I do love that we get a little bit more lore on Wandering Vision's time on the run during and before Infinity War, in that they used to go to a pub in Edinburgh every night, which was just so cute. And oh, my WandaVision heart broke again by just hearing redhead. One day, and we'll chat about that in a minute. But wow, one of the big things I was wondering is how Ultron was going to play a role into this, and it's crazy how much James Spader was in the trailer and how much he seems to be in with the show, and it really looks interesting, that father-son dynamic between Ultron and Vision that was kind of touched upon, but it's going to be really interesting to see how much of that is toyed with and played with. And it's just fun getting to see Paul Bettany and James Spader bounce off each other in this really unique dystopian thing. And it's interesting that a lot of this seems to be happening within Vision's mind. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays into that. And it's also going to be yeah, so the other big things within the trailer is you get to see James Darcy returning as Jarvis, the human form of Jarvis, from who first appeared in MCU canon in Avengers Endgame, but was in Agent Carter, which surely must be getting made canon now. The amount of times that James Darcy's appeared as Jarvis within Agent Carter, within Endgame, What If, and now this. So surely they must be making that canon at some point. If they were going to make one of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter canon, Agent Carter is clearly the one that could be canonized much easier than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., despite Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being very much canon for the first 2 years of its show. So it's an interesting one, but we also get Friday, Edith from Spider-Man Far From Home, Doomy, the robot from Iron Man, is in this. We know that Rava, who was in the first Iron Man, is going to be in this as well, which is interesting to see how much of this is going to be about Vision reclaiming his memories. One of my favorite lines from the trailer that just proves once again why Vision is such a really complex and unique character is he says, I have his luck, but not his virtue. And that really stems on how much of Vision is going to be this more stoic white Vision is going to play a role. And I do wonder, will we end up with Vision back in red and green by the end of Vision Quest? And that it is more of we're going to go on a journey of finding who Vision is again. And we can already see that he's got thoughts of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's got thoughts of Age of Ultron. He's got thoughts of WandaVision, looking around at some of the stuff that was on some of the screens, like Television Looks, which is a nice little homage to WandaVision. And as you know, I'm a massive WandaVision fan. it is crazy to see that this is the final part of this trilogy, and it's going to be so interesting to see what comes out of this in terms of characters, in terms of where we're going with this. And obviously, I can't not talk about Tommy Shepard. Rued Moloch, I have just butchered that surname, is playing Tommy Maximoff, Tommy Shepard. I think we're going to have a similar thing with Wiccan, in that he's just going to be Tommy Maximoff speed, despite the fact he's been known as Tommy Shepard. Even it's an interesting one of how they're doing the twins reincarnated, but it's a fun one to see what's going to happen with these. So interestingly, and I think I'm very much interested in how Tommy plays into this show, whereas with Wiccan in Agatha, it made sense. Well, it was easier to put him in an Agatha show and build this relationship up because the Wiccan side of things, and the witches and everything. So in that story, it made even more sense for him to be there. In that, it's far easier to link Agatha and Billy than maybe it is with Tommy in this show, and how they connect into each other, and how their stories merge into one. Is going to be one of the interesting things that makes me so intrigued and fascinated for this show. But it looks like everybody's having a blast with this show, and I'm very much looking forward to it. The footage really heightens this kind of Star Trek Picard style show, which is what Terry Matalassis, who is directing and showrunning the show, has come across from. So it's clearly, you can clearly see that the influences upon that. But yeah, I'm very excited. And I do wonder how much of this is going to be playing into Vision. I do wonder how much of this is going to be playing into the next two Avengers films. And that's where, if you know a certain comic run that I have talked about on this podcast a lot over the last year, I've been doing this podcast and across socials, The Children's Crusade is one of the biggest Young Avengers comic runs, when Wiccan and Spade realize that they are the twins of WandaVision and go and try and find Wanda, who then they find is mind-controlled and the wife of Doctor Doom. Now, it just seems so logical that The Children's Crusade is going to be a massive inspiration for Secret Wars, and I'm very much expecting that to be the case. So I'm just going to say this now: you need to at least watch WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and Vision Quest to understand a part of Secret Wars. And if I'm wrong in a year's time, then you can come back to this video and say, well, you were wrong. But I do think Children's Crusade is going to be a very big part of Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't know how much in Doomsday, but very much Secret Wars, which is going to be so cool and so epic if that is the case. Considering the multiverse saga started with WandaVision, it kind of makes sense that we end the multiverse saga with that WandaVision family reuniting. And I really hope that is the case. But other than that, the trailer looks insane. It looks very trippy. It looks like we're going to have a blast of 8 episodes. Still don't know if it's going to be weekly or just a binge watch. I kind of might incline it to be a binge watch just because of where we are in terms of Doomsday. Vision Quest releases October 14th. I don't know. I haven't done the math if that's enough time before Doomsday comes out. So maybe it is weekly, maybe it's not. I'm not sure just yet. But the trailer looks incredible, and I'm so excited to see it and what it could mean for the future of the MCU, and also be the end of Marvel television as we've known it for the last few years once again. So it's going to be a fun and interesting time to see what comes out from this trailer, but I really enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on the trailer? Have you seen it yet? Has it made you more excited, more intrigued of what's going on? So drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm really intrigued to see what you think about Vision Quest. So, as always, you can follow me on Instagram at StraightOuterDisneyPod, and you can email me your thoughts at straightouterdisneypod@gmail.com. like and subscribe this video. Follow along for more across Insta, YouTube, Spotify. We're everywhere. It's going to be a busy week. And it was certainly a busy week on Friday and Saturday night. And as always, there's some parks thoughts will be coming a little later on in the month, just because there's some other things coming up, and I'm also on Disabate at some point soon. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you all for listening, and bye.